right, good morning. Chris Colt here, the challenge champion, and we're going to have some fun today. I have some awesome guests. I see we're lit up on LinkedIn right now. I see Facebook's lit up, YouTube's lit up. So we are live, and I know sometimes there's a delay on this. So if there's a little delay, when you come in, when you're hearing this, please let us know where you're coming in from. We always like to see that. And as we go through this, feel free to ask questions. We want to interact with those that are live, and we can see all this on the chat here. But I'm excited today. We have three awesome guests, well, four including Bobby, but a lot of you know Bobby and I. But a few weeks ago, we did Bobby's 5-day challenge on how to land a TEDx talk. And these three individuals that are with us today played full out. And I know some of you others are on here listening that we're in a challenge. We're going to invite you along the way, too, to come up here and highlight you from the challenge. What we want to do today is kind of glean some insight from them of who they are, what they're all about, and then let them share their experience of what it was like to go through a 5-day challenge and what they learned about TEDx Talk, how much more there is to it. So I'm going to start with Bobby Umar. I'll do these introductions, but Bobby, we had a blast a few weeks ago, and what I want to hear from you, you know, especially after the week, one thing, who you're fighting for, why you're fighting for them, and then just a little bit of the insight of, you know, what you experienced from the challenge.
Yeah, so who I'm fighting for the people who, you know, have a message for the world, make that impact, and they really want to, you know, elevate their career, their business and brand. And so for me, TEDx Talk is the ideal flagship vehicle to help them do that, because the process that I've created is we get clarity on their story, we get focus and direction on their personal brand. We then look at the thought leadership branding elevation piece and how to escalate that. And it's all part of the TEDx aspect of TEDx journey. So from start to finish, TEDx is the way for you to do that. And that's why I'm focused on helping people with that. So for me, that is, you know, I'm trying to help those people out. I know that they have a message for the world. I know they want to get more impact. They want to build their business. They want to build their career. And to me, the TEDx, along with the personal brand and thought leadership piece, is the way to really escalate and elevate it significantly and profoundly. And that's why it's so important to do it that way. I'm a big believer in this. I've been able to do that for other people. It actually helped myself, my TEDx, first TEDx talk, changed my life, changed my business, started traveling around the world. A lot of things happened with that. So that was really great. In terms of the challenge was great. I mean, there was like 40 people there, and they were all sharing their stories and getting really diving into the process. And I was very honored and grateful that people were willing to be vulnerable, to share some really tough challenges, deep insights, deep stories. And yeah, I felt very connected. Like the people here, like I've already had very deep conversation with all three of them, and other people too in the group, particularly the ones who you know, were in the program, but also the ones who did the VIP calls. So then we had extra calls. And so, yeah, I mean, I was just really honored and grateful for that. And it's funny because like, I enjoy that. I enjoy that so much that I know that's not the main part of what we're doing. Like there's also the, you know, the larger scale. Okay, now what's the plan? What's the program to get to where you want to go? But I even love doing this so much. I want to keep doing it over and over again, because meeting people like that and understanding their story and where they're going and what they're trying to do. Yeah, it's very moving. And for me, that's a very fulfilling feeling to know that I know I can help them, and I know I can help them create that impact and get what they want to do for their own journeys too. So I find that really fulfilling.
And I mean, it was just so fun hearing these stories. And we'll talk a little bit about that with our guests today, so we can go through that, get their experience. So let me go over to Glenn here. Glenn, who are you fighting for? Why you're fighting for them? It's great to see you, but, you know, I know you have what I call a mission that matters. So share a little bit about that.
Well, Glenn Andrew, I'm CEO of All Star Leadership. We're a leadership development company, and we're focused on helping young professionals in their 20s, into 30s, who are emerging leaders. And they recognize that they have certain, you know, leadership skills, but there's a gap between where they're at and where they want to be. And what we do is we help fill the gap. Now, I remember when I was that age, my 20s and 30s, and I was thrust into leadership roles. And I wish I knew then what I know now. So those are the people that I'm fighting for. Those young professionals in their 20s and 30s who've got some leadership skills. So thank you.
And I love what you're doing, because, I mean, you and I talked about this a lot. The first thing talks about self-leadership, right? And we'll go into that a little bit more, but self-leadership is one of the most important things out there. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into your mission that matters there. So let's go over to Ariana. I know you came through the challenge. We didn't technically know you before. I've known Glenn a little bit, okay? But I've never knew you. And, when we got to talk, you were like, this is one of the most amazing experiences. So we'll get into that a little bit. But, share with us who you're fighting for. Obviously, a little bit about yourself, but who you're fighting for and why you're fighting for them.
Sure. Thank you so much to both you and Bobby for the opportunity here and also the challenge, which was really inspiring and motivating. And I've already taken a bunch of micro steps since then. So who am I? I'm Ariana Tadler. I'm the owner and founder of a law firm known as Tadler Law. I've been practicing law for over 30 years. I represent individuals and businesses in commercial litigation, class actions, employment matters, and I'm also one of the most prominent e-discovery lawyers in the world. And why am I here and what's my mission? Over these last 30 years, and also in raising 220-somethings, I've come to the conclusion as a business owner multiple times that there is this gap. It kind of capitalizes on what Glenn is sharing with you. There's a gap for 18 to 35-year-olds who, whether it's because they're lost in the haze of the blue light of technology or also attributable to the pandemic, there are just certain communication, professionalism, and executive functioning skills that they've missed out on. And I want to fill that gap. And I know that Glenn and I feel that we kind of, there's a good synergy there. We're able to complement one another. And the challenge led me to start really thinking about the higher level of communication that I need to engage in to get that message out there, and the thought leadership that's necessary, and even just some of the little steps. I mean, just because of you, I'm already out there on certain other platforms of social media that I would not have felt comfortable about. And you just said, do it. And, it might not always be comfortable, and I'm doing it, and I will get to a place of comfort. Right now, it's a habit forming item that is on my list, and I'm doing a little bit more each day thanks to you all.
I love it. And, what was really awesome to see happen too, because you and Glenn didn't know each other before this, right?
Right.
And we did that kickoff call before the challenge to kind of get that feeling of the micro community. And all of a sudden you just hear people talk, we got to talk to each other. So I think that's really cool too, how that played out on a whole different note, not knowing how that would play out. So I know you two will be talking a lot more on what you're both doing, because that next generation needs you both. So I can't wait to see what you bring together for that. And now Kelly, honor to have you here. I remember you were one of the first who signed up for the challenge. So share a little bit about your mission that matters and why you're doing this. And then we'll get into a little bit about the experience with the challenge.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. I am Dr. Kelley Mondesiré. I'm down here on Wall Street at the moment. And thank you for having me on the show today. I am the master of transformation and reinventing oneself. I came from a humble background, and where I went into television, a successful 22-year career in television as an executive graphics producer. I did so without an art degree. And everyone was saying, oh, where did you go to art school? Because I was redesigning complete network looks and design Super Bowl commercials, had international design awards, and I didn't have an art degree. So as you can see from the artwork behind me, I went back and went for a master's degree in fine arts, became an exhibiting artist worldwide, and, had to always strive to be better than anyone else because I felt I didn't have the pedigree that my competitors had. I got a little tired of spending hours and hours in edit rooms and decided I wanted always to be a doctor as a little girl. And I chucked it all and went back to school and got my degree in traditional Chinese medicine. And the students I studied with came from medical backgrounds or were surgeons in other countries. And so I had to be better than they were. Now, post-pandemic, I've stopped private practice and I founded White Wolf Advisory Services. And what White Wolf Advisory Services is combining my television and my medical background to bring primarily medical device and medical technology companies from overseas to create a blueprint here in the United States. And with that, I have reached into and dug deep into my Irish citizenry and roots. And as a result, I have become an advisor for different Irish organizations here in the United States. So my fight is for anyone who would be intimidated to transform or reinvent themselves because there are naysayers out there that say you can't. I say you can. And I am like the phoenix. I can rise above and reinvent myself more than once or twice or 3 times over and be better at what I reinvent myself with than most of my competition out there. And it's very simple. All you have to do is have confidence in yourself and make a plan. And I've got stories, as shout out to my former patients who have come into the chat box. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging me as being the good doctor that I have been to you. And I'd like to help anyone who is afraid or intimidated in making themselves into the best version of themselves.
It's all about reinvention as we go through the journey of life, right? And you know, one of my favorite quotes, life is lived forward and understood backwards. And that's when it all starts to click. So I thank each of you for introducing yourself. Now let's have some fun here. First off, let's give a couple shout outs. I know I see David out there putting you up here on the screen. David Jones is in the challenge with us. Our misfit, there she is. Nami, good to see you. I see a bunch of others on here. You might just see me put up some of those because, you know, you all interacted with us a lot. We don't want to forget you because you're not on with us live currently. So if you put that you're on live with us, let us know. I'll get you showed up here. So let's get into some fun. You all took a 5-day challenge with us, right? Not knowing technically, I mean, Glenn knows what a 5-day challenge is, but I know you really weren't too understanding. So what excited you? And what, you know, we'll keep this like a couple seconds or a couple minutes each. I'll go to Ariana first, and then Bobby, you can add some insight to this as we go through this. But Ariana, what was it that made it click? Hey, I got to attend this event. And I want to give one note because you said something to me during the event. I'm really busy. I don't know if I can devote an hour a day. So I might only be here the first day, watch some of this on replay. You showed up every single day. That says something there. So I'd love to hear your insight on that.
Sure. So I knew that I was building, you know, out my further professional speaking and keynote speaking. I do a lot of that work. And I also had made a commitment to build out a masterclass program on those items, communication, professionalism, and executive functioning. And in talking to a colleague of mine who's worked with Bobby and with you, her name is Hillary Sobel. She's a phenomenal lawyer and now writer, preparing for her own TEDx. She's a speaker. She's just a phenom in terms of a spirit of a person. And I mentioned to her that I was interested in a TEDx. And she said, oh my gosh, I'm working with Bobby Umar. You should do this challenge. And I said, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about it. And as a former athlete, if you say the word challenge, I'm probably going to raise my hand because yes, let's do it. And I really, once I did the first day, notwithstanding what I had said to you both, I might not be able to be there every day. I just knew I had to make the commitment to be there full on. And I enjoyed every minute of it, even when we pushed over a few minutes, because I didn't want to miss a piece of content. And the takeaways that I got each day were super critical. And I even was, you know, prompted to do a video. I had to get comfortable to do it for you. And I did it. And so I'm really grateful. And I encourage others, if you want to get out of that comfort zone, do the challenge. Do the challenge.
And you did play full out. I mean, I know you had an opportunity to share your story a little bit as we went through the challenge, which was really cool. And, you know, we did a really great job keeping this dial an hour every day. I think there was that 1 or 2 days that, like, just because there was so much interaction, you know, we got the content done, but you guys all stayed and said, hey, let's talk a little bit more. So it was really just awesome to see that, how that community came together.
You know, I'll add here too, like, yeah, you know, on the first day, I mean, you know, Chris and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what's the best way to structure this thing, because, you know, I've done 5-day challenges before, and I also have run TEDx workshops, but like, how do I do it differently? I want to do it differently. And so part of it was I wanted to show people, okay, it's important to understand the process, because a lot of people want to rush into it. And so the first day was all about mindset. I was like, look, you may think that you're a confident speaker. You may think you're a confident person. You may think that you have got great accolades. But the truth is, every single one of us has to work on mindset at some point or another, including myself. And so I wanted to show people the importance of this and do that with that interactive piece. We also live stream that for the public to show them what it's all about. And I think that after day one, because of people sharing so vulnerably about what their challenges are and being really honest about it, that was a great start to even more sharing later on.
Mm.
Yeah, when I do a lot of 5-day challenges all the time, right? But that's one of the most critical things, setting that stage for the week. And I really liked how we opened that up Monday just to get the flow going for the week, because I know it shifted a lot of people. I had a lot of personal messages. Wow, I really needed this today. And as we're talking about this, just so you know, we are going to be doing a super workshop. So it's what we did in a challenge in one day on the 8th of February. So you'll see a little registration code probably right above my head. If you screenshot that and you'd like to learn more and sign up for that, that's all you got to do, because I'm not going to put a bunch of stuff up on here about it right now. I want to make sure we have this conversation. So Glenn, let's take this from your perspective. I mean, you've been in a 5-day challenge before, obviously, because you know me for a while. But what was your experience? First, what got you to sign up for it? And then what was your experience for those 5 days?
Well, thank you, Chris. The thing that really got me interested, it was very personal. Little background, a couple of years ago, my wife for 30 plus years was diagnosed with a life-threatening disease. And during the last few weeks before she passed, I kind of wondered what lay ahead for me. And inwardly, I saw myself on a large platform stage, speaking in front of 10,000 plus people, talking about something positive, that was inspirational, and was transformational for the entire audience. Now, I didn't know what I was going to be talking about or how I would get there, but I actually saw myself there inwardly. And so when I came across Bobby's TEDx challenge there, boy, I was intrigued. I said, oh, could this be a possible way for me to be able to be on that large stage, speaking in front of 10,000 plus people eventually, So I actually saw it as a way to be able to manifest that inner vision. And so guess what? I signed up for the challenge.
And you played full out that entire week. I know you messaged me a couple of times too, just saying, hey, I'm getting this insight, I'm getting that insight. And I remember you sharing something about one of your friends that spoke on a TEDx. Do you recall that conversation? Might have been during our VIP session, but you brought up, how a friend just had a lot of changes in their life and their business from being on a TEDx stage. I don't know if you recall sharing that.
I don't recall that, but I just got a message yesterday from a friend who had seen me advertising this over here, and he had been on a TEDx stage. And as soon as he had done that, it kind of launched his whole career. Things just kind of got very transformed. He got a lot of speaking invites as a result, and he moved out of the New York City area out to Vegas, and he was out there doing a lot of stuff. And he just messaged me this morning, and he said, gosh, I was just out in Vegas, so we could have hooked up. But anyway, it's the whole idea of being able to launch your career, launch your speaking career, launch your business. That was, that's one of the things that a TEDx talk can do. And that's one of the things that Bobby talked about. And he kind of encouraged us to really start looking at it more from not just getting up there and doing a talk, but what it could do for your career.
And let me add here. I mean, this is why a lot of people who are taking part in this are seasoned professionals, people who have 20, 30 plus years of experience in their fields or several fields. They've been working, they've built up a large platform and library of insights, knowledge, stories, and you name it. And now they want to do, usually it's one or two of two things. Either one, I want to give back. I want to put my message out there for the world to impact and inspire thousands, if not more people to learn from what I want to share. The second piece is, okay, I want to elevate what I'm currently doing and amplify my business or my brand or my career, and maybe start doing more speaking up there. Maybe I can get in front of some large audiences. Maybe I can actually build up a large digital presence so people can actually see my message. And so that, people like Glenn are ideal for this type of journey, because it's definitely going to leverage all the stories of your life, but it's also going to take what you've learned and then put it out there for the world to create that impact, not only for yourself and your business and brand, but also for the world. And that's why it's such a powerful thing. And that's why I'm a big believer. And I'm going all in on helping everybody get a TEDx talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could just pop in here, I mean, the real focus on servant leadership, right, which is something that certainly drives me, that really came through. And one of the critical components that Bobby and Chris have shared throughout their own programming is how critically important it is to be a great storyteller so that your message resonates with the people who are there listening to you. And it, you know, when you tell a story, that is memorable along with the underlying message. That's what stays with somebody. It wasn't just you talking at people and telling them, you know, tips or takeaways. It was having a story that's the delivery mechanism for the takeaway. And I'm just so grateful for that.
This was part of our structure too. So it's so good to hear people who have been through this that didn't know how we designed this to say that. So I appreciate that. And I want to make sure Kelly gets her insight here. So Kelly, something I recall is Bobby and I think this is how it started for you. My memory is a little off here, but I'm pretty sure we did a LinkedIn Live right before the holidays. And I think you were on that and signed up right after, if I recall right. But share like what hit you that moment that made you go through the process of the 5-day challenge?
Thank you for asking. For many years, my patients would always, say, "Oh, you've got such great stories. You're advocating for, your breast cancer patients or, this cause, that cause." And they would say, "You should give a TEDx talk. You should give a TED talk." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know what I want to talk about. I've got a lot of stories, a lot of adventures, I wouldn't know where to start." And it's always been in the back of my head, I would like to give a TEDx talk. So that's why I signed up. I got really excited about the possibility of, someone's going to tell me how I can do this, because I can do this. I love getting up in front of a captive audience and, speaking my piece to be quick about it. However, after I signed up, the week before our 5-day challenge, my mother passed away at the age of 99 and a half. And my mother was always my greatest cheerleader. And my mother used to say to me and my siblings, "You can be anything you want to be." And I always, and my patients would always say, they would remember, I would always say to them, "My mother makes me look like Tinkerbell in personality." She was a very strong personality. And when I wanted to leave the television business, a very, very successful career, it was my mother I called to say, "What do you think if?" And she was all over it and was my best advocate and cheerleader, and always was the wind under my wings, as they say. And you guys, you didn't think I was going to show up the week after my mother's passing for the 5-day challenge, but I did, because my mother also told us, the siblings before she died, time to move on, life goes on, and you can be successful, you can do anything you want to do, and you can be anybody you want to be. And that was the last time I spoke with my mother. And that's why I showed up for the 5-day challenge. And what I got out of it was, thank you. I call Bobby my seeing eye dog, because I'm blind. I have no idea how to do this, but he's guiding us, and he's guiding us in the right manner, in the correct manner, to lead us to not only one TEDx talk, but I've got many inside of me, and I've got many stories to tell and many inspiring stories to tell. He goes there. Hey, you got another hand, Bobby? So that's why I signed up, and I'm glad I did it, because not only was I inspired by the other participants and hearing their stories, but you know what? The community was one where it uplifted me at a time where I needed it the most. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Glenn, Ariana, and everyone else that participated, because now I can, and no one's going to tell me I can't. And maybe this is my transformation once again into public speaking and sharing my stories and inspiring those that are intimidated into being their best selves.
You know, one of the things that's really important to keep in mind too is that there's so much power in community and the group process. So, you know, I've done this type of work with individuals one-on-one, but I've also done it in a group format. When you shared that story, Kelly, and I think that was the first day, again, very moving, very relatable, very human. And, you know, we created a community group as well where people were sharing and people were just very moved by that story and supporting you. And I just think there's just so much there that really helps us out. It also tells me the importance of the group or the community factor. I've done groups, I've done individuals. I mean, with the group thing, you're going to get the mass, I guess, appeal of everyone's experiences and their expertise. They're sharing their knowledge. There's accountability. There's a crowdsourcing ability. And obviously there's going to be my expertise and Chris's expertise and what we deliver, but everyone else has their own experiences that can also add to it. And I think that group thing, plus the accessibility, because, you know, when people work one-on-one with me, they get access to me during the calls, but in a community, people get access 24/7. So that's why it becomes much more powerful, and they get access to everybody 24/7, whoever wants to contribute. And the other thing about the group thing that's so good is like someone like Kelly or Glenn or Ariana can actually contribute. They can actually, there's a chance for you to also not just get help in your journey, but also contribute to other people's journeys, which I think is also why I love the fact that we set this up as a group challenge and setting up even the future for more group stuff.
And I want to say I thank you for sharing that, because I do so many of these things, and there's things I picked up critically when it comes to doing a 3 or 5 day challenge, the community piece, right? To me, that's the most important part, because that micro community, if they play full out together, like everybody did in this challenge, it just lifts everybody so much faster, right? You know, you all heard it for a week nonstop, the Peloton from cycling, right? But that's what you all did, and you didn't know each other. I mean, that process started on the Friday before where some of you got to know each other, but to see the level of comfort on the vulnerability of the story shared, like that just doesn't happen with complete strangers. And that was powerful to see. And that's the reason you all need to be on these TEDx stages. And some of you listening, make sure that you get there. So I promise to keep these to a half hour. We'll stay for you guys if you want to chat a little bit more. In the corner here, and I'll put it real quick here because I don't want to interfere with everybody here on the screen. We're going to do another one of these in a full event day, 5 hours. Yes, 5 hours with Bobby and I. We're going to do it on the 8th of February. And it's going to be everything we did in the 5-day challenge in one burst. I saw some people started to download it. So right now you can grab a screenshot of this. It's a URL. They'll take you right where to sign up, but I don't want to hide our two lovely guests' faces here. So I'm going to pull that off right above my corner, right there. You can hit it there. That'll be up when we're here. But, you know, we're going to talk a little bit more. If any of you have to leave, I know we said we keep this to a half hour. Let us know. But, you know, let's go to Ariana first. You've heard some great stuff. I remember, I think it was Wednesday. You had an awesome story that you shared. It might have been Thursday. I forget what day. They all meld together. How did that feel to do that in front of that audience that we were with? Because you did it so well when you started talking to Bobby about that.
It felt both humbling and motivating all at the same time. It was a story that obviously has been a foundation of my life, and yet not one that I've necessarily tapped into or spoken about in many, many years. And as I was put on the spot to share this story with the group, I began to realize how many elements of that story have affected my life, and where there are micro stories in that entire journey, and how I learned skills, or those skills began to grow as a result of that part of experience in my life. And I've continued to really reflect on that and think about how I can expand upon it, how it also offers a microscope as well as a periscope into other areas of my life. And one of the things that, you know, Bobby and you have encouraged us to do, of course, is, you know, start writing down these stories, even if it's just a quick little note to prompt you, to remind you of stories in your life. And I think the fact that you called upon me to do it again, that was another micro step. And now it was also an achievement that I want to capitalize on.
I love that you're using the word micro, all of you, right? I use the word micro community, right? But those micro moments are key. I'm an athlete, right? You know, if you want to cross whatever that big finish, it's the micro things you do all the way to get you there, that build that momentum. So thank you for sharing that. I just want to give, I don't know if Barbara is your friend here, but a shout out.
Yes.
There you
Hi,
go.
Barbara.
Barbara, hello. All right, awesome. And listen.
Hi, Barbara.
If you hear good insight, please share. We're going to put you out there. We're going to stay a little bit longer. I saw in the private chat, looks like people can stay a little bit longer. So, Bobby, why don't you continue? Why don't you just real quick highlight what this super workshop's about, Bobby, and then we'll keep this conversation going.
Yeah, so I mean, the 5-day challenge is set up in a way to take people slowly through the process of, what is my 5-step process? What is my 17-page roadmap methodology? And then showing people specifically how it works. So getting people to talk about mindset, getting people to talk about their vision and why statements, working with them in the moment to show them how I would actually work with people to help them get to that next level. But you don't get a TED Talk in 5 days. It takes time. There's, for me, so what I tell people is it's a 3 to 6 month process, but this is the beginning of it. And then I'll take you through it with other stuff. Now, some people can't do 5 days. So that's why we said, let's do a super workshop one day. And, we'll go through, and again, we'll just do each of the trainings. Now, usually the way it works is that each day was actually a half-hour training, half-hour interactive and workshop and discussion type stuff. So what we'll do in the 5 hours is actually quite interactive, right? So there'll be the first day of the half an hour of content, then the interactive piece, and then the second hour, again, half-hour content, interactive piece. So I'm still going to workshop. I'm going to put the work in the workshop with you, and I'm going to actually go through your stories. I'm going to go through what you're trying to do. I'm going to understand, where your challenges are. And so for me, we'll be able to do the same content, but it's just going to be in a compressed fashion just on one day. And again, if you can't make it the entire 5 hours, then just come for 3 hours, just like other people did in the challenge. I mean, you'll get the replays. We'll show you how it works. And a lot of people can, a lot of people sign up for the VIP where then they get another 1 hour consult with me. And I go with them on more deeper stuff to give them some homework and to get ahead of things. So, the workshop's going to be a lot of fun and really helpful for a lot of people. So yeah, check it out. And just click the link, the QR code, and you can actually see, it describes everything. And the participants here and can tell you a bit more about it. They already have been talking about it. So yeah, hope that helps.
Yeah, no, it does. And like I said, it's right. Yeah, I'm pointing the right way this time. You get to sit right there. If you're on the screen, just hit that, take it right to the landing page. And you know how to find Bobby and I or any of these awesome people right on LinkedIn if you have any questions. So I know, Ariana, you got to split in a couple minutes. Anything else you want to finish up with and, get out to the world before you go on with your day? I thank you for your time because, I know getting you for any amount of time is always a challenge. So thank you for your time today, all of you. But, I know, we really appreciated bringing this together.
Thanks. So I think one of the things that's really important to know about Bobby and Chris is just how approachable and accessible and communicative that they are. A lot of times you sign up for programs and they're seemingly live, and maybe you go for the 1 hour and then after that you're not going to see them or get access to them right away. In my personal experience, every time I've messaged either or both of them, they are promptly responsive. And not just, oh, I'll get back to you. It's right there in the moment they're going to respond to your question. Or if it's something broader, it's let's hop on a call, let's have a discussion. Sometimes it's one of them, sometimes it's both of them together. They're hyper interactive and so absolutely gracious and willing to share what they know and what they have had in terms of their own experiences and directly from their heart. Total open books, so humble, so kind, so smart, so driven. I really encourage you, if you're looking for an opportunity to learn how to do this, or just maybe to find some foundation for your life, it's the end of January, it's a new year. It will give you an inspirational boost for yourself, regardless of whether you get on a stage or not.
Holy cow! Is that recorded?
Yeah, we got to cut that down.
Great.
That's like the best.
Oh my!
This is why I should be a TEDx talker, right?
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better, Ariana. I second and double down on every single word she just uttered to the audience today. Chris and Bobby couldn't have been more responsive, more generous, more kind, compassionate, but encouraging. and uplifting and really engaging to the point where, wow, I said, these guys must sleep with their phones next to their ears.
No,
it was actually quite startling how quickly they do respond to you no matter what.
Well, I think it's important to note that, again, we understand how important it is to you. We also understand how deeply emotionally resonant it is to be on this type of journey. So I think that there's two parts, right? So I want to be accessible and responsive to the things that people need, and that's always been my brand. I've been a very responsive guy. People comment on my posts or they send me my DMs. I respond very, very quickly. And then, but I also know that, in order to be supportive of the process, I know it's a hard process. I know it's a challenging process for some people. And so I think it's really important for us to be, and that's why, again, the community, that's why we've set this up. That's why we try to be really responsive to anyone, because I also know how impactful it's going to be for the process and the actual result of the TED Talk, how impactful it's going to be for your career, but also for your life. And so that's why I'm very invested in this. And, Chris was talking about playing full out. I am definitely playing full out to help people this year, for sure.
Glenn, what kind of insight do you want to glean as we wrap this up here?
Well, gosh, the thing, one of the things I'll echo everything that Ariana and Kelly had said. You guys are spot on. One of the things that really stood out for me is, I upgraded to a VIP, and part of that was to be able to have an hour conversation with Bobby. And what was interesting about going through it, and it kind of echoes what Ariana was talking about as far as storytelling. That's really what the TED Talks are all about. And the big insight I got is I've got many stories in my life. They were turning points for me, and that each one brought me a step closer to where I am right now. Mm. And in working with Bobby, it was just like, by being able to craft one of those stories into a talk, it's a very effective way to turn an idea worth sharing into a powerful talk. Yeah. Because it's something that comes from within you. All right. You're not in your head. You're talking about a story from your heart, and that's where you connect with other people there. And that was one of the things that was a big aha for me going through it. And my intent is, I did put down that, hey, I will be doing a TEDx talk by the sometime in December 2024 this year. So I'm well on my way. I've got the motivation. And Bobby, thank you so much for all you do. Chris, thank you so much for all you do. And I'll be on that super workshop.
Yes, we'll see you guys again. So I want to thank the three of you for taking time out of your day. And we're going to do stuff like this again. We started something amazing at the beginning of this year. We're not going to lose what we started. That's not what this is about. But I do want to thank each and every one of you for, scheduling some time with us to come on here and just share from your heart, which that's what it was really all about. So, Bobby, I'll let you close us out. If any of you have to leave, just drop off. I know some of you had some meetings you had to get to, but Bobby, I can stay for a couple more minutes if you want to.
Yeah, sure. So, first off, thanks, Kelly, Ariana, and Glenn for being here. I really appreciate it. And, it was a really good experience, and I loved it so much. We're doing it again. Felt so nice. We're doing it twice. No, our plan is to do this many times throughout this year, but, this is the launch, and we're very excited about that. Here's the thing, like a TEDx talk changed my life. And of course, I was started as a professional speaker. And so when I got my first TEDx talk, I started speaking internationally. I started charging higher fees. I started getting inbound requests for coaching. And pretty soon people started giving me job offers just because I had the brand of TEDx. I had the video there, and people were like, wow, that's really, really cool. So the reason why I'm really big on TEDx is because there's so many benefits to getting it. You can start to, again, whether you have a business, you can charge more consulting fees, you can charge more speaking fees, you get to appear on panels, media outlets, all that kind of stuff. People reach out to you for things. And I also think that, having a TED Talk positions you as an authority in your field. They see you, okay, you have a TED Talk, you are now an expert in the topic that you talked about. You are a good storyteller, you are a good speaker, you are a good coach. We want to work with you. And if you share a vulnerable story, you'll be seen as someone that is deeply connected to, someone who is a human, who has heart, someone that I really relate to and resonate with, and I empathize with. And you would think that You're like, oh, I don't want to tell a personal story, but actually that actually helps your business more because people now know, like, and trust you, and they start to value what you bring to the table. And that also helps. And most people out there who are trying to do a TED Talk, I want to make sure it's clear that there's so many benefits to getting a TED Talk as part of your brand. And to Kelly's point, imagine multiple TED Talks in your brand. And that's a next step. But just even getting that first TED Talk is a great launching platform. And the thing that people usually struggle with, and the hardest part of doing this is, number one, people don't know where to start or what to do and who to talk to. And so that's why we have the 5-step process. That's why we have the 17-page roadmap that we're working with people, and I explain how that all works. My methodology is something I feel very, very good about because it dives deep in your brand, dives deep in your story, dives deep in your mindset, building relationships, the thought leadership to get to that TEDx. The other part that people have a hard time with is kind of what Glenn said. When going through your life story and extracting those ideas for a TED Talks, extract those stories, that's a hard process to then hone down into, okay, what are the 1, 2, or 3 TED Talks that I want to pitch? That's another one of the hardest things that people have trouble with. And so that's a big part of the process. And we're going to go through that a little bit of that story stuff during the workshop. And then the third thing that people have a hard time is, how do I now pitch this so that I actually get picked? So the application is also a big challenge. The networking is a big challenge. And again, I'll take people through, here's what you need to do to kind of get there. So addressing those issues and helping them get to that next level, getting clear on what the impact of a TED Talk is, identifying the challenges and taking you through that process to identify and help you with them. That's what this is all about. And that's why we're here. So if you want a TEDx talk, by all means, if you have questions, put them in the chat below, put them in the comments, tag me, tag Chris, reach out to us, click on the QR code, sign up for the workshop. Honestly, it's a fantastic investment because basically the investment for the one day it's $100, which is like, it's nothing. I mean, I charge $500 an hour just for my consulting. But the reason why we're doing it is because we want people who have meat in the game. We don't want just random people say, I'm going to sign for this and not show up. No, I want people who are invested, who care. They know they have a message. They know they have experience. They know they have insight. They know they want to elevate their brand, thought leadership, and their business, or do more paid speaking. They're the ones who know what they want, and they're willing to go for it. Those are the people we want to sign up for this thing, and we'll see you there on February 8th. If you have any other questions, let us know.
Peace,
Perfect.
Everybody. Nice to be here with you all. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
all. Appreciate it.
Sign
Have
up
a
for
great day.
February
guys.
8th. Sign up for February 8th. It's going to be awesome.
Have a
Ditto.
great day, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.